Welcome to The Shift Show with Adriana Bucci. Join me every week to learn all about narcissistic abuse recovery, healing from physical and emotional pain after the abuse, and everything else to do with toxic people and how they affect your physical, emotional, and mental health. And no, you are not the crazy one. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Let's get right to it. Welcome to episode number 32 of The Shift Show. This episode is an interview I had with Laura DiBenedetto. It's an amazing interview all about healing and doing the inner work so that you can, be happy. Laura is a TEDx speaker and the #1 best-selling author of the book, The 6 Habits. And that book is linked in the description of this podcast episode. She's also a life mastery coach, and she teaches people how to create the life of our dreams without sacrificing what we love. She is a very successful entrepreneur. She actually retired at the age of 37, and she was named a 40 under 40 winner at only the age of 23. Upon retiring, she realized she was actually not that happy, though, even though she retired at 37. So she was super burnt out and unhappy, and she took a bunch of classes, workshops, books, coaching, etc. And she was still very confused and wondering why the personal development world had let her down, and, she couldn't solve the problem. She ended up doing her own radical journey of self-discovery, research, and testing, and she was absolutely determined to find energy and lasting, fulfilling happiness in all areas of her life. She ended up finding those answers to her questions that plagued her, and so many of us. There is 6 of them, which is why her book is called The 6 Habits, and she wrote a book about it and is sharing it with the world. She is devoted to sharing the universally applicable and deeply liberating truths that she discovered so that others may find their own path out of misery and into lasting, fulfilling happiness and limitless possibility. I actually read the book, and it is super empowering. It's not your typical self-help book on do these things. No, it actually guides you on how to do the inner work. So I would strongly recommend you purchase the book. It's available at the link here, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed by what you learn from the book. So I will stop my rambling now, and we will get right into the interview. Hey, Laura, thanks for coming on my podcast today. How's it going?
So great. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate the chance to talk about great things.
Awesome. I appreciate you being here to talk about great things. Why don't we start? Yay. Why don't you give us a little intro on who you are and what you do, and then we'll talk about the great things.
Sure. My name is Laura DiBenedetto, and I am the #1 best-selling author of the book, The 6 Habits. And I'm also a TEDx speaker. I'm a CEO and world changer and person that likes to do all the things. I live on Maui with my husband and fuzzy children, and I do in fact like long walks on the beach, and I'm committed to making this world a happier one. No matter how weird the world is, it can be better.
Amazing. And yep, the world is pretty damn weird, especially these days.
True that.
So tell us a bit about your book, The 6 Habits.
Sure. So the book is, it's a guidebook. It's filled with practical tools that people can use to find happiness in a predictable, formulaic fashion. In 2018, I retired at 37, which feels like a notable achievement, except I felt like crap. I retired and it felt hollow, and honestly, I was just filled with shame because I hadn't done enough. I didn't make enough money. I wasn't as successful as some of my other friends. And, I felt like just so much shame, and
even though you retired,
really messed up. I know. Believe me, what I'm saying to you still feels insane. Even though I've told the story several times now, it feels so insane. But I understand why I felt that way looking back, because I had always chased success the way culture tells us to, right? And I chased, happiness, chase, achieve, feel the high, feel the low, and repeat. And it's a stupid merry-go-round. And I was on it. I bought into the whole hook, line, and sinker argument of like, you'll be happy if you buy this magical face cream, and you'll be happy if you have the fancy car, and make sure you have this handbag and you wear these clothes, and then make sure you're successful and you have an impressive resume, and yada, yada, yada. Turns out that's all a lie. So by the time I retired, I had never done anything to actually fill up my heart and my soul with the things that truly mattered. So when it came to the subject of happiness, I had acquired a lot of, symbols, I guess, of happiness, but not actual happiness. And it was pissing me off. So I started on this crazy research project. I was like, well, turns out I'm the most stubborn human alive. So how can I actually predictably create happiness? And I know you're based in Toronto. I am originally from Massachusetts, in the United States. Most people, I say they, the big they in the sky, refer to Massachusetts people with an attitude like mine as massholes. I very much was a masshole, where it's like all practical, very gray, very black and white, just it is what it is. And like, I wanted to find the answer that my miserable ass could actually get some results out of. So I started researching, well, what is happiness? What does it mean? And how can one actually create it? Studying humans that actually are happy, unlike what I used to be, revealed like a collection of things that people habitually do in their mind. And it's not like meditation, although that's great. It's not flossing, also great. Highly recommend. The 6 habits are actually the things that people that are the very happiest do in their minds every day automatically. Now, a habit is like, it's an unconscious thing you just do, right? And people usually think of the things we do as, flossing, coffee, smoking, drinking, positive or negative. It's a habit and you can see it. The habits that I found and the behaviors, they were all mental and they're invisible. Therefore, they don't seem to get enough credit. But the more I leaned into the research, I was like, oh my God, your happiness will not be determined by whether or not you go to the gym every day or whether you have enough vegetables. I mean, all good things, right? But like, your happiness is actually determined by the thoughts that precede those things.
Right.
So I ended up fixing myself, to the point where I felt complete finally. I felt good finally, like super duper happy. And the book was a result of me getting such powerful results and sharing them with others, and then getting results that I had to share it with others.
Amazing.
Mission.
Amazing. That's awesome. So what, without getting too much into the book, what are the habits?
It is a fair question. So there's 6 of them. As noted by the title, super creative, am I right?
There's no bonus 7th habit.
No, maybe I'll get Franklin Covey to help me with that one. But no, the 6 habits are kindness to ourselves, acceptance of ourselves, gratitude for literally everything, including the bad stuff, presence, which is really hard these days, goodness, which is, I imagine, where you're going to want to take this conversation, and intention. Intention is really all about, what do you want? Why do you want it? How are you going to make it happen? And all of these habits, they actually, they perform in harmony together, and they basically create this epic recipe of your happiest expression of life. So if you were to master all 6 of these habits, nothing would be off limits to you. No acquisition, no business adventure, no dream would be out of reach for you, because you have given yourself all the tools you need to make it happen. And the real tools, like, I got to be honest with you, I like money. Money's great. Money's a tool. That's the kind of tools I'm talking about. If you don't have the internal drive, you can't do it. Right. But if you're constantly kind to yourself, you are like constantly pumping yourself up, and you really truly unconditionally love yourself. You see the world through a lens of appreciation and respect, and you're keeping your feet on the ground with where things are, and you're not allowing toxic crap around you, and you're focused on your goals. Do you really think you're not going to achieve? Come on.
It's true.
So that's what I'm here to do, is to show people how to actually step into the lives we deserve.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it's definitely easier said than done, right? Because it's not like you just decide to do it. It totally takes doing some kind of work on your part, right? It's some people, like, they think like, oh yeah, I'm just going to think positively and everything's going to be good. But what a lot of
I'm
people
going to
don't
meditate it
realize.
away, or I'm going to manifest loads of money. No, you're not.
Exactly.
No, you have to actually do the work. Like,
Yeah, you have to do
you know,
something.
oh, totally. And you know what? Believe me, like I'm a big fan of like self-help books. I like
Mhm.
them. And,
You wrote
like
one.
meditation. Well, yeah. So I suppose I'm a super big fan now, but like, but like, it doesn't matter like what you do. You can have a vision board or whatever, but
Mhm.
if you don't like actually back it up with the real like belief and the hardcore work to like develop the habit mastery of the things, who
Mhm.
cares? Like I can tell you right now, everyone listening to this podcast, you should read the book, but it's only the beginning, right?
Mhm.
The beginning of any journey begins with awareness of the information. And I'm going to tell you the story of a tomato. It's really brief, right? We all know a tomato is a fruit.
Yeah.
Applying that knowledge means we don't put it in a fruit salad,
Right. That makes sense.
right? Like you can know about the habits. I just told you about them. You feel better yet? No. You have to actually apply them to your life. And the thing about habits, I did some research. So being the CEO of a marketing company, I'm probably 90 times more suspicious than most people. I see anything that smells like marketing. I'm like, lies, lies, all looks like lies. And anytime someone says like, oh yeah, you can build a habit in 21 days, lie, told by
Lie.
a marketer. Nope. 30 days, also a lie, told by another marketer.
Mhm.
They have a nice warm bench reserved for themselves in hell. And I hope I don't have to go there one day, but I've tried to do high integrity marketing my whole life. But like the truth is important. So I started doing research. Turns out science says that humans form habits in 66 days.
Hmm.
So, it's
Interesting.
not awful. Like you can do 66 days. I built a 90-day program for myself that other people can get in on, but that's where you actually master the habits. It's by doing it over and over. You want to learn to start flossing every day. Guess what you have to do? Consciously force yourself to floss every day.
Mhm.
And
For
after a couple
66
months,
days.
you won't have to force yourself to do it mentally. You'll just reach for the floss without thinking. That's the point.
That makes
You
sense.
have to get yourself to be kind to yourself automatically, bring goodness into your life automatically, be
Mhm.
grateful for everything automatically without thought. But you got to go through that period.
Right.
It's useless without the work.
Exactly. Exactly. So that would be like 66 days of figuring out how to be kind yourself, how to be kind to yourself. And,
Every
it's,
day it's a choice.
yeah, exactly. And,
You live it by
that
practice.
totally, totally. And it's something you have to actually practice. It's not like you're going to read a book and it's going to happen. You have to actually literally put that into practice. So I
Well,
love
it's like you
that.
can't read the book and be like, oh, they're all better. It's like the whole,
Exactly.
thoughts and prayers things like, oh, thoughts and prayers. Ah, all better. No,
Yeah.
you actually need to do
Love
something
and
with it,
light.
right? Love and light. Oh,
Love and
wow. I
light
feel so
fairies
much
coming
better.
around.
Thanks.
Yay.
Like it requires actual effort. So the whole
Yeah.
90-day thing that I built for myself was because I can't see me, Laura DiBenedetto, doing anything consecutively for 66 days
Hmm.
ever,
Hmm.
unless I really, really want to. So I had to build in a margin of error for myself because I'm still human and stubborn.
Right.
So I made it 90 days and it was just, much easier for me to create something that still could create the success and the result I was looking for, but allow me to be my stubborn self that loves to
Amazing.
sabotage my own success like we all do.
We all do.
Yeah, girl.
We totally all do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So tell me about the goodness chapter.
Sure. Goodness is honestly, it's simple math. And I feel like this one is your jam. And you are
Hmm.
uniquely positioned to be able to help people with this particular habit. So, goodness is simple math. Good energy in, bad energy out. So,
Hmm.
I'm sure you can see where we're going to go here.
Yep.
Like the good energy in, like literally, what is good for you and for your soul? Is it more people that you love? Is it more time with yourself, more time with your dog that snores in the middle of a podcast? Thank you, Bella. Is it more time spent away from work, more time working on your goals? Like, what are the things that actually add and contribute to you?
Right.
And this is so important. So for years, being the hardworking executive trying to build a company, blah, 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 I had a massive deficiency that I didn't even know about. I sucked at fun.
Hmm.
I had no idea how to have fun or be fun. And thank God I married the man that I did, because he is fun in human form, which I really, really need. But like, he reminds me to punch out. Like he's really kind of taken me on adventures. It's like, well, I'm just going to stay home today. No, we're going to go for a hike in the mountains. Oh, that does sound more fun. Okay. Like we all need to add more things to our lives, and we actually have to do it consciously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the beginning, like after a while, when you develop the habit, like you're just like, oh, well, I haven't done enough to fill up my cup today. What do I got to do? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it just like, it's an automatic default for you to like look for things. Right. But the other side of this habit is the removal of the harmful energy, which
Mm-hmm.
is toxic situations, things where it's causing you a lot of stress. Like the whole COVID stuff has really placed a lot of strain on families, on
Mm-hmm.
workplaces, on things, that are largely out of our control, and that can be very, very like causing like a lot of fight or flight feelings and can actually erode our health.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the case of dealing with like narcissists and whatever, the person themselves, I mean, perhaps they themselves are not toxic, but their behavior sure is.
Yep.
And we need to be hyper mindful of like, ooh, need the more good, need to get rid of the bad, because this is like, you you can't you can't be a truly productive, happy, joyful, like fully expressed person if you have these mental anchors weighing you down.
So true. It's so true. And if you can't set boundaries with these assholes in your life who are being toxic towards you and putting you down and
Right.
everything, like you can't, what are you going to do? You can't just get out of that mindset and not have that mental anchor that is weighing you down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shoot, I've dealt with toxic people's behaviors like for years, and it comes in
Mhm.
different forms. Like, you know, I was in a situation where I was in love with an addict at one point.
Mhm.
It was not something he wanted to receive any sort of treatment for. And I found myself being codependent in response. And it was just like we co-created a toxic situation. Like he had a lot of
Right.
things happen in his life that were really awful. He
Mhm.
was victimized when he was a young boy, and it just manifested some real ugly crap in his head. So
Right.
it kind of made him toxic, but it doesn't mean he himself was toxic, right? And like ultimately that relationship ended because it was just taking such a toll on me. I was like, I don't even like who I am anymore. I'm
Mhm.
so tired in this relationship all the time. Sometimes toxic things can happen at work. Maybe like a boss that just has major inferiority complex,
Mhm.
or God, I mean,
Power
there are
tripping.
things that just are so hurtful
Yeah.
everywhere,
Totally.
but we need to be aware.
Exactly. Exactly. Without that awareness, you can't do anything about it.
No, no, you can't. I mean, a great example I experience, I bet you've experienced this too, is like when you have the friend that's going through something,
Mhm.
right? The friend has always been wonderful, loving, and it's been a 50-50 relationship and it hasn't felt toxic. But how do you support your friend when they start to pull on you?
Mhm.
How do you support your friend and support yourself when they're in such a state of grief and trauma and everything that they're looking at you as a therapist? You
Right.
know, this
Right.
happens all the time. And
It
like you
does.
see a lot of friendships that have endured for years come to a crumbling end because one person goes through something and the other person isn't equipped to lovingly set boundaries
Right.
and enforce them and leave the other person's, I guess, dignity and the friendship intact.
Mhm. That's so true. It happens all the time. It really does. And a lot of the times people they don't know how to support the other person, or the other person is expecting way too much from that friend in terms of support, and without having those difficult conversations and setting those boundaries and establishing like, this is how I can help you, or like, I'm here if you want to listen and that's all I can do, instead of like, I'm here to fix you, and like not having that fixer mentality, which a lot of people have when they are in a codependent state. They want to fix
Yep.
everything for everyone, and it's just not practical.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, I actually remember being in a couple relationships like this. And, just I'm a bit of an introvert. I'm also empathic. I really strongly feel what others are feeling. And
Mhm.
for my own selfish reasons, I want that person's pain to go away. And of course, I want to be their hero. It feels great.
Mhm.
Except we need to remind ourselves, yeah, that's actually going to come at great personal cost to you. The juice
Yeah.
may not be worth the squeeze. Maybe you should refer this person to a therapist, give them a big hug, bottle of wine, and we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about lots of things, but let's not dwell because I'm not
Right.
equipped, but I love
Right.
you.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
none of this stuff is easy, but it's important work that we have to do. And I got to be honest with you, like, when I learned to set boundaries and I learned to really master the habit of goodness, I'll be totally straight up with you. It was a bit of an ugly process.
Mm-hmm. Tell us
I,
about it.
I messed it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I mean,
It can totally be messy.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
messy. It was painful. I, sometimes handled boundaries like a bull in a china shop, which don't recommend, by the way. Like, just, boundaries are not something you do to someone else.
Right.
Boundaries are basically just like, hey, these are the rules, okay? And I love you. Like, let's co-create something great here,
Right.
and that took me some time to arrive at. But like, since I like to seem to throw my poor husband under the bus, let's put some more tire tracks on his
Okay.
back. You know, he's a really fiery person. I am also a really fiery person.
Mm-hmm.
When we have some fights, it's like, dear Lord, get a helmet.
Yeah.
Okay. It can be interesting, shall we say. And I remember when I was early in the relationship with him, I just wanted so much for him to be happy with me.
Mm-hmm.
He's my new husband. I'm crazy about him. He's
Mm-hmm.
cute, and it's just like, he's fine. And I don't want him to be mad at me. And I remember actually feeling all even though I'd already been through like that whole book, Codependent No More, which I highly recommend, like, even though I had already been through a lot of like self-reflection, I was being codependent again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I was like, God damn it. How do I stop doing this? And finding the courage to hold my boundaries and keep, I guess, like the rules of like how I wish to be treated and, what I need for me to really be my best self in the relationship. It didn't always go well. I didn't always express myself. We had a lot of knockdown dragouts, like, but a lot of this process was a willingness to fight hard enough for the relationship
Mm-hmm.
and fight and really advocate for a relationship being built the right way, not
Mm-hmm.
from let me sacrifice myself and set my own shit on fire so you can feel better about yourself because you get to walk on me.
Right.
No, I will be a better wife to you if my needs are actually honored and prioritized, even if they're not convenient to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can work with them or not, but I must honor myself first. And, we talked about this logically when we were not fighting. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But sometimes when push comes to shove within any relationship, it's just not convenient or tidy.
Mm-hmm. So,
Right?
oh yeah, totally. And I love
Well,
that.
you're married. You've been with your
Yeah.
husband like a while, and you've
Yeah.
probably no doubt been through this yourself.
Oh God, yeah. Totally. Absolutely. We actually the other day, literally, because with all this craziness with COVID, all the stuff that's happened over the summer that, I've been through with like my narcissistic mother dying and everything, like it's just been, we never really got to sit down and take inventory of like how we feel like together.
Mm.
Yeah. So we actually the other day talked about it very respectfully, of course. And he was actually suppressing the stuff that he's been going through because he literally felt like I've been going through so much more than him, so he's not going to burden me. And I'm just like, I had to actually tell him like, no, like you're not burdening me. Like I'm dealing with my stuff, you deal with your stuff, but it doesn't mean that like you don't deal with your stuff at all. So like I'm obviously here and
Mm.
we actually need to talk this out. So we actually did, and it went really well. And like now, like there's definitely been like a huge shift in the relationship because now it feels more like we're having more fun together. We're doing more fun stuff, especially with all the crap and garbage that's been going on since, the year 2020, just in general as a year. And it's like, it's, no one's perfect. And sometimes we forget to check in with our significant other. And, it's a good thing to do that and have those check-ins and set those boundaries. And like, one of my, I guess, it wasn't really a boundary, but he has the whole mentality of like trying to fix people, right? And
Oh,
yeah. And so he would get frustrated with himself for not being able to fix me. And then that kind of turned
oh,
into this whole conversation of like, you know, have you not learned anything from like my coaching situation that it's not your job to fix me? Like just, you know, like don't try
yeah.
and fix me, and don't try and say something that's going to make me feel better. Just let me
I
be
feel like
how
that's a
I
man
am. And
thing.
yeah, it's totally a man thing.
It's like a men are from Mars thing. It's like,
Right?
oh, you Martians, would you stop trying to fix? Just listen.
Right? Yeah. And I feel like in a
My
way
husband
that
does it
is a
too.
boundary. Like, yeah, like just setting the boundary of like, don't try to fix me, just let me be, and like just be there for me. And that's it. And it, it didn't make sense to him at first, but then
Mhm.
eventually it started making sense to him. And it was like night and day after he had that realization that like, oh shit, yeah, it's not my job to fix my wife, because, you know, I can't feel her feelings for her. And, you know, like we're both under our own amounts of stress, and that's okay. So just being okay with that. And, you know, it's, yeah, like we
I
just
I
talked it
get
out and it
that.
was great.
Well, I think, within the context of like the habit of goodness and like boundaries and stuff like that, like, I said, and I know obviously this is where you are, like boundaries is not something you do to someone, right?
Right.
It's like, it's just, these are like the rules. But
Yeah.
the fun part is within a marriage, like I've always believed, I had a friend say this to me, who ultimately turned out to be one of the most toxic people in my
Oh
life.
shit.
So you gotta go.
Yep.
Um, but this was a nice non-toxic thing he said, is like, a marriage is really just, it's a country of two people, and you guys are the king and queen, and you can make the rules. And
It's
I'm
so
like,
true.
that's true. That's very true. So, you know, um, my husband and I are like, pretty similar in some respects, but also really different. Like,
Hmm.
I'll be like, oh my God, this thing is going on. He'll be like, well, what about this? What about this? Stop trying to fix it. Just
Hmm.
need you to listen. So, like, there's just been like good co-creation of like rules. I guess the more we realize like, ooh, this doesn't work. I don't like it when you try to fix me. I just want you to listen. So that actually gives me an invitation to be like, well, if I want to set him up for success, I could just preface it by saying, I don't need you to fix this, but I'd
Right.
really like to vent right now.
Right.
Are you cool? Are you able to do that? And then if I preface it and I say, this is what I need right now,
Hmm.
I get what I need right now. And it's
Exactly.
like, oh, okay. And then I get really articulate. I need 3 hugs and 2.5 kisses right now. You just
That's
put it in your
awesome.
order. But
Exactly.
like, I find that like so many situations don't actually have to be negative, toxic,
Exactly.
like harmful or taxing or any of those things. If we actually can just pre-frame them really well, and this is, I guess, where a lot of like the other habits come into play. If you feel a deep respect and abiding love for yourself, which is the habit of acceptance,
Hmm.
and it's unconditional, you won't feel like you don't deserve the things you ask for with someone that's mistreating you. You'll know you'll
Exactly.
deserve it, and you'll feel comfortable asking. If you constantly say nurturing, uplifting, kind things to yourself, like, wow, I believe in me. Yeah, I'm totally worthy of my dreams. Like, I'm going to crush this today.
Hmm.
You're also going to walk into a situation with that might be uncomfortable, be like, no, this is going to be a great outcome. I can totally just like co-create like rules of engagement with this person, like using the friend example, be like, my friend's in a difficult time, but we care about each other a bit, like quite a bit. And there's no reason I can't love my friend and protect myself. I
Hmm.
fully believe. And you approach it from less of a perspective of being defensive and like, trying to protect, and
Hmm.
more of like, I honor you, respect you, and I also honor and respect me. Let's partner
Exactly.
here, you
Exactly. And
know?
it's up to that person if they do want to partner, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, sometimes it's going to be like just a straight up no, and they're not going to be happy about the fact that you're trying to set a boundary with them. And that in itself is, when you have that self love, you'll know immediately that like, okay, this is a person who's toxic and they don't care about my needs and all that in our relationship. So,
Exactly.
you know, I'm going to love you from far away, or you got to go because you're too
Right.
toxic. And, you know, having that self love to be
Exactly.
able to do that.
Yes, exactly. I mean, like, if you don't have like a good constitution within yourself, and you don't have the like even the road toward mastery of these habits, you're not going to be capable of actually putting your foot down and being like, no, actually your presence in my life is no longer necessary because you've flatly refused to honor my boundaries. And I love me enough to decide that you are no longer invited into my safe space.
Exactly.
That's hard. I've done
So
it. I mean,
hard.
shoot, like the dude that gave me that that interesting quote, smart guy, one of the smartest people I've ever been friends with in my life. A heart of gold, but never went to therapy for the things that was bugging him, right? And you know, as a result, he had some really toxic traits, and by and large they were really not problematic, but after 12 years of really, really tight friendship, he was like one of my dearest. I actually had to terminate that relationship because it was very clear when I said, this is my boundary, you don't get to treat me this way, blah, 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 in response to like some horrible behavior. The response was, yes, I do. Ooh,
Wow.
I think we're done here.
Yeah.
No, you don't. And if you don't agree that I deserve respect, I can't be in this anymore.
Exactly. Screw that.
It hurt and it sucked, but you know, it was the correct thing to do. I've been saying this for years. How do you know it's the right thing to do? Does it hurt and feel like shit? Oh, good. Then it's probably the right thing to do.
Yep, it's so true. Oh my gosh, it is so
So
true.
yeah, that's been interesting. But like, you know, the thing that I just want more than anything else is I want people to understand the purpose of these habits. Like, it's not so you can be rich. It's not the point. Like, rich is nice. It's just a tool. Like I've had loads of money and I've had not loads of money. And I definitely prefer the having versus the not having. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter. It's not about what you look like. It's not about any of that. It's not even about your husband or your wife or your children. It's literally about your journey through life. And it matters, damn it. Like, you're not here to be an indentured servitude to your children, your boss, your spouse, your clients, your this, your that. No, you are here for your own sovereign life.
Exactly.
That's that's the whole point. So if we can like, if we can collectively decide to do this work, we're going to be better as a civilization. And that's really my goal. Like, I want to reach, I'm not kidding, I want to reach 1 billion people with this message. And I want to remind everyone of one important fact. These 6 habits are all things that we were born with. We were all born with them. But being grown-ups and decorum and pleasing our parents and our teachers and everything else, it basically taught us to put ourselves last.
It's true.
And being anything remotely selfish is bad.
It's so true. And
So
it's not selfish. Doing this work it's not selfish at all. If anything, it's selfless.
It is, because you can be a better parent if you learn to love yourself better. And you know what? Poor mommy ain't going to throw her under the bus. I'm going to give you such a great example only because I've talked with her about it. She knows it's okay. So for years as a little girl, she would say, Laura, you're so beautiful. You're so pretty. Look at those cute little freckles and your pretty curly hair and blah, blah, blah. That's what she said. But then what she did is she would look in the mirror. She'd always say how bad her hair was. She'd always say how fat she was. She looked like shit, blah, blah, blah. And I did the whole do as I do, not do as I say.
Right.
Because that's what kids do, right? So I learned to be on a diet for 20 years. Wow. I learned to hate what I look like. I learned to hate every little cellulite dimple on my ass, which, sorry, most women have it. Like, you know, it just is what it is. Like, I learned that being 1 pound overweight made me unworthy of love. Wow. Like, I learned these things. And I wish, not that I could go back in time and fix me, but I wish I could go back in time, and I wish I could give these gifts to my mom when she was a young girl, because she never would have learned to hate her body. She never would have learned to like constantly condemn herself. And as a result, I couldn't have learned it, because where would I have gotten that lesson from? You know,
that's so true.
My goal with all of this, I want to reach the 1 billion people. And I really believe it starts with parents.
Yes. Yeah. Like, someone has to break that cycle of just, it's generational trauma, because the parents, they learn it from their parents, they learn it from their parents. And realistically, if you think about it, the way civilization was like 150 years ago, like, you know, it was a disaster. Like, did we even have running water back then? Right. So imagine like the trauma they went through, and that translates to their children. And, you know, your parents don't have to be like raging narcissists for you to be affected negatively by them, right? Like
No,
they're
not at all.
completely well-meaning. Like, there's parents out there who they love their kids, like, like the story about your mom. She obviously loved you, and, she just had issues with herself, and you pick those up as a result. And it's unfortunate, and
Yep.
at least you're the cycle breaker, right? So
Totally. Too bad I don't have kids.
yeah,
God, this would be
I know, right?
revolutionary.
Same,
Um,
same here. I'm exactly the same way.
for
It's
lack of
like,
trying, it just didn't work
right?
out that way. But
Exactly.
this
I've
is
been
like
like, yay, I'm
generational
the
pain.
cycle breaker. I'm not going to pass this on to future generations. But then it's like, wait a minute, I'm not having kids. I don't want them.
I mean, my
But how
cat is going to feel
revolutionary.
super good about himself. I know
Exactly.
that. Like,
Exactly. My
he's
dog's
going to walk around being,
self-esteem.
right?
Yeah.
It's, the generational pain point is really, really important. Because like my mom, she learned these things from her mom,
Of course.
and she learned them from her upbringing, and so on and so on. I mean, I know you know
Exactly.
about the mother wound and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's just this whole like generational thing that actually can die. And it doesn't mean the lineage of the family has to die, but perhaps the pain that's been passed down
Yeah.
generation into generation has to. Like, I mean, even just in the last like 100 years or so, like we've seen dramatic shifts in how civilization looks at women's role
Right.
in the world. Like, and it's hard for women and men to keep up with all these changes. It is.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have not kept up. They're just like, nope, I like this belief system. I'm going to stick with this. Women belong in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant. Okay. Other women, need to be like June Cleaver and like, perfectly pressed dress, making dinner every night before the husband gets home, and she massages his feet and gives him a blowjob after dinner. Like, and then you got other people that believe that women belong in the Oval Office and running the country. I mean, all of these beliefs are running amok because we as a culture don't actually have one consistent belief. And if we can really come down to a place of we as humans, regardless of what squishy bits exist between our legs, are valuable, worthy, lovable humans that are infinitely capable, we stop seeing other genders and other people
Mm-hmm.
and other ideas as threats.
Exactly.
Like people have been threatened by other races, other genders, other sexualities, and things like this because of fear. People are always afraid of what they don't understand.
Right.
And, but one of the best ways to get rid of the fear of that is to fortify yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a better person. You can start with just healing, nurturing, loving the little version of you that's still inside you, like a little 5-year-old that's in there.
That
You
inner
know?
child, it's screaming at you whether you like it or not. Until you heal it, it's going to keep
Mhm.
running your life. It's going to keep running your life through fear and the old patterns and behaviors and conditioning that you were brought up with. And until you actually do something about it, it's going to keep running your life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was actually saying to my husband earlier, because he's learning about a new business and, he's never done business as like an executive before. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things he's been through in his life, but also a lot of things he's been through repeatedly. We all
Mm-hmm.
have. And I was just like, babe, we're doomed to repeat the lessons until we actually learn them.
Yeah, that's so
And he's like,
true.
damn it. Yeah. Yeah. But it's true. And that's the thing is like, we have infinite power inside of us and we forget it. We
Mm-hmm.
forget, or, we shy away from doing the work on something because it's uncomfortable. But what if we knew for concrete fact, if I do this work, it will be uncomfortable for 3 months. And after 3 months, I will begin to feel better. The work will be easier.
Exactly.
And I will feel more capable than I've ever felt in my life. Like people want like concrete timelines. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
crappy part about self-work. It's all a bunch of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, so it makes a lot of people not want to get involved because it's like, oh, this could hurt for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
This could hurt for 5 years. This could hurt
Mm-hmm.
for 5 days. Like you don't know.
And that's the thing. You literally don't know how long it's going to take, but what brought you to this point of seeking out doing this self work and, doing some sort of inner work, looking at the self-help section on Amazon, whatever it is that brought you here, that in itself was painful, right? So it's like, do you want the rest of
Was.
your life to go on that same route of pain? Or do you want a little bit more temporary discomfort, some more pain for like, not that long, but then you have the rest of
Right.
your life ahead of yourself?
Well, yeah. I mean, I like the way you put that. It's really, I mean, it's a choice, really. It's like you're going to continue to suffer one way or another. Would you like to
Exactly.
get it over with? And, the thing that I have found actually is the duration of the struggle we endure when we decide to work on it is not directly proportional to the size of the problem.
Yes,
It's actually directly proportional to the desire to solve it.
exactly.
So, just using the 6 habits as a really tangible right here in front of us example, if you discover, you read the book, you look at that, do, the exercises that are free that in the workbook that you get with it. If you do that and you discover, well, shoot, I'm actually really good at 3 of these, but I'm really, really not so great at 3 of these. I really want to work on those. Okay. If you hem and haw and complain and piss and moan and you don't really lean into it, yeah, it's going to suck. It's going to be long and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
whiny and blah, blah, blah. Usually things are worse when we run from them. But if
It's
you
true.
run into it and just like, this is going to suck, but I can do this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when I was writing this book, I was in pain. So I wrote this
Mm-hmm.
book, as a result of the 90-day everything. And I did all this to solve my own pain. One of the biggest challenges I had to overcome was acceptance. I didn't accept myself. I did not unconditionally love myself. Shit, no. Right. And facing myself and having that moment of truth was liberty. I
Mm-hmm.
realized, wow, I do not accept myself, but I really, really want to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to learn and I'm going to do the work and I'm going to understand why I don't accept myself. Then I will be able to rapidly and with as little pain as possible start moving into mastery of acceptance. And it's literally just one decision at a time and like
Mm-hmm.
one little moment and belief and thing you say to yourself and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like even just looking in the mirror and just be like, 10 pounds overweight, you get a couple extra dimples in your ass. It's like, cool, I'm still worthy of love. More cushion for the pushing. It's all
Exactly.
good. Like versus, oh my God, I need to cover up. I'm so hideous. Like, how is that helping you? It's not
It's
helping your
not.
sex life. And it's
Exactly.
certainly not helping you go to the beach wearing what you want. Like
Exactly.
like all this crap robs you of joy. And when you begin to like unpack it, it's like once you start to like actually look at the thing, you're like, wow, this is so stupid. Why do I keep choosing this?
So
I
true.
don't have to.
It's
Bye.
so
Nope.
true.
I think I'm going to pick acceptance. That feels better.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's one baby step at a time. And it might be like, some people might be listening to this and like thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to be able to accept myself. And here's the thing, you're not going to accept yourself overnight if you're currently in a state of like, you don't accept yourself whatsoever, right?
Oh.
You have to do, like, you have to take little steps towards getting to that point. And then once you get to that point, that's when you realize, oh my gosh, I've been worrying about this for no reason. But
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't
Absolutely.
mean that you're going to get there overnight.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, I'll be perfectly candid. Like it's 90 days. It's not one day. Right. And
Exactly.
the whole 90-day experience, no, day one, if you start day one feeling like a festering shit heap, you're probably going to finish day one feeling that way too,
Yep.
but maybe slightly better. But like, that's what the purpose of time does is it helps to rewire your brain and be like, oop,
Mm-hmm.
that's cross circuited. Nope, that doesn't go plugged into that. Let's rewire.
Exactly.
And you build new mental habits where you automatically learn, like new things. You automatically choose better thoughts and whatever. And like, I set this up in such a way that I wanted other people to really gain the mastery and set themselves free and raise their children to be happier kids and change civilization. And
Mm-hmm.
it starts with, read the book, learn about the habits, and then get the practical tools so you can begin to apply them, right?
Right.
In the book, there's a million invitations to go download all the free workbook stuff. It's all free.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that actually unpack how you, the human, can begin to actually master this stuff. It starts with awareness. Always
Mm-hmm.
starts with awareness. Pick a simple recipe for making like anything, any cake you want, starts with a recipe. Pick
It's
the
true.
recipe for building the happy you, starts with a recipe. It's the
So
same
true.
thing. So you start there, you read the book, become aware of it, become aware of yourself, and then you begin your habit mastery journey. That's it. It's not complicated. And this is the crazy part. The 6 habits are not the point at all. You are the point.
Exactly.
They're simply a means to an end.
It's so true. It's so true. That self-love and it's coming back to yourself. Like that's how I see all types of inner work. It's coming back to
Yeah.
yourself, having that relationship with yourself and understanding that you are so much more than the shit you've been conditioned with throughout your life. Whether
Yeah.
that's from family, from society, from both, it's
Yeah.
more
It's
than
an
that.
awakening, of sorts, because
Yes.
well, this is the easiest contextual example I can think of. Think of Santa Claus, right? At some point, if you were told the Santa Claus story when you were a kid, you woke up and you realized, right, this doesn't really add up, right?
Right.
But until you actually had some sort of evidence, like grandpa's scratchy handwriting or this and that on the Santa notes, and Dad, why do you have crumbs in your beard? Like, you start to like put 2 and 2 together, like then you make your own decisions and like, oh, it's actually not what you said. Okay. And the same is true of the stories and BS we've been telling ourselves for years. Like, we'll construct this story in our minds. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I am a loser. I can't do anything. Life sucks. It's easy for other people, but it's always hard for me. And tomorrow the country's going to be on fire and we're all going to die. And, I can't do anything. And I have no idea what I want in life. And, my mom is such a bitch and blah, blah, blah. Woe is me. Right. If this is the story you're telling yourself, it begins with like understanding, okay, why did you tell yourself that?
Right.
Why? How were you trying to protect yourself by telling yourself that? And then what is it that's actually there? Do you have the courage to see the actual truth? Like, is it maybe that you just have a really, really shitty self-esteem? Could it be that? Is that fixable? Yeah.
Yeah.
As the world's most stubborn human being, yeah, it's fixable. If I can do it, anybody can.
Yeah. If I could do it, anybody can too. It's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah. It's
But the trick is you just have to want to. Do you
exactly.
know who Gretchen Rubin is? That author. She wrote
No.
like the Happiness Project. There was this great book. You should check it out. It's oh god, the four it was like the 4 personalities or something like that. It was
Okay.
like it was a way that people respond to expectation, right?
Okay.
There's the people that like they respond really well to expectations that they set for themselves and that others set for them. Then there's the people that, they have one but not the other. Then there's the folks like me that I don't respond to other people's expectations well. Oh, you want me to do that? That's nice. Oh, you want me to do that on time? That's cute. Adorable. It's really bad though, because I say, I'm going to do that. I'm going to eat well today. Bullshit. 5 p.m. comes and out comes the cookies. Like, I do not respond to any expectations really well unless I deeply want it.
Right.
The 4 tendencies, that's the name of the book. So, I'm what she calls a rebel. Oh, baby, am I a rebel? It goes hand in hand with the whole stubbornness thing. But like, as a rebel, like I understand how deeply you have to want something before it's ever going to work. You have to believe that it's actually possible for you. And I guess at the beginning of this journey, when I was writing the book and doing all this research into happiness and habit and finding all this crazy stuff, I guess somewhere in there, I decided, yep, I want that bad enough and it's close enough. I'm going for it. We all need that moment, by the way, or it's never going to happen.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, yeah, I think I probably identify as stubborn too and a rebel.
Explains why I like you so much.
Yeah. Aw, shucks. But yeah, I definitely, for me to even touch doing the inner work, I had to be extremely desperate for things in my life to change. And that was my motivator. Desperation had to be my motivator. And it was because of chronic pain, which, that's a whole nother story, but that was literally, I would have never changed shit about my life if I wasn't at that point of desperation.
That's exactly where I was too. So I guess I'm going to be the interviewer here for a second. What do you think are the best ways for people to create that deep like unavoidable, undeniable desire if it's not currently there, if desperation is absent?
That's it's a tough one to answer. Because I mean, I guess if you don't have that desire, right, there has to be something that's going to motivate you. So I just think, like, how much are you suffering and how much more do you need to suffer? And some people, they need to suffer more, and it's not like you're making a choice to suffer, right? Like for me, in my case, it's not like I was actively choosing to be in this pain and deciding like I'm going to keep suffering because I had no idea there was a way out of it. But I
Right.
think what a lot of people in my case who are, super stubborn and, rebel and whatever, and your case too, if you don't have that desire, if you don't have that desperation yet, maybe you haven't suffered enough. And then at some point, there's going to be some sort of life event that happens, or you're going to reach a point of suffering where it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Because for me, like I was at a point where I was just like, okay, like I don't want to see my 40th birthday. And I was 30 at the time. And that's how bad my pain was. That's how my desperation started. And that's when I stumbled upon all of this stuff. And yeah, for me, it was just like a sheer desperation and I needed to suffer more. So if I didn't have, trigeminal neuralgia, which is nicknamed the suicide disease because of how painful it is, that was like one of the final types of pain that was slapped onto me after having migraines, TMJ dysfunction, etc. If I didn't have that trigeminal neuralgia to cause me to suffer more, I would have never been open to the idea that like we can do inner healing work to heal not only our traumas and from our childhood, but our physical bodies as well. So I think, if there's no desire, you just have
There's
to
a
suffer.
phrase out there.
Sorry?
There's a phrase out there that I think will probably put a nice bow on that. It's when the pain of staying put is outweighs the pain of movement, that's when
Exactly.
you'll do something. And
Exactly.
I think it is difficult for us to manufacture an artificial desire, something. It's nice to want something like a little bit like, oh, that would be nice. I think I have an idea towards it. It's not necessarily like the holy grail of solutions, but I think if we wanted at least enough to start to define it a little more,
Right.
and make it feel more tangible, I think more people would be willing to do the work because I think a lot of the reason why I said no to myself and you said no to yourself is because we think that, the journey will be too arduous or it's intangible or other people get those things, but we don't. And it just feels so like alien and not worth it. And it's never going to happen. And I got to be somebody else and fuck that. Like it's,
Yeah.
we just feel like it's not in the cards for us. But then if we can actually articulate what it would look like, actually maybe even just tentatively begin the journey and dip a toe in the pool, maybe that would be enough to be like, shit, I can have this. Like this isn't for other people. This is for me.
Exactly.
Others can have it too, but like worry about
Yeah.
them. Like oh my God, I actually get to have this. I mean, that was probably one of the pivotal things that happened to all this. Like I didn't have, the disease that I don't think I can pronounce that you have. Like you said it a couple times. I'm like, huh? That's not the first time she said that.
Trigeminal neuralgia.
That
one.
yes,
Yeah.
that I don't have that.
It's just nerve pain on the side of your face. So like
Sounds
extreme nerve pain. Yeah.
So when I retired, I was so stressed out from years of always chasing the wrong crap.
Right.
Trying to, he who finishes with the most toys wins. Not
Yeah.
really. When I retired, girl, I was bleeding internally.
Oh my God.
I was so stressed out. And I was like, so let me get this straight. I traded my health for wealth, which is the wrong kind. And I got it wrong. And my new husband and I are fighting already. And my friends probably don't want to hang out with me that much because I'm being such a toxic bitch. And now I've retired and I don't have this jobby job to go to. And I don't have all the status that goes with the role. Great. Now what? And it was the now what that got me really just like, I don't know, it just got me like quiet and contemplative and just like really sick of my shit. I was like, you know what? I'm done. Okay. No, I don't care. And even like moving, I moved a year ago to Hawaii. I was living in Massachusetts prior. I was able to shed so much of myself and getting rid of half of my belongings, because I actually realized I bought all these clothes because I thought other people would accept me. And I had all of these pretty things that I don't actually care for, because I thought if people came in my home that they would think well of me. And I was never grateful for this. And I never used that, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, I built my whole life within this gilded false prison.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
So
amazing
I
that
kind of
you were able to
therapized
figure
myself.
out. Yeah. You actually had that coming to God moment where you're like, this is fucked up. I need to do something about it.
Yes.
That's
I think we all need
the amazing
it. And
part.
I mean, I sincerely wish, looking back, I could have come to it sooner. I mean, it's not like I didn't try. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I read loads of self-help books, and I read, articles, and I went to retreats. I mean, there's a beautiful retreat center out in Massachusetts, Kripalu. It's like world renowned. And
Mm-hmm.
I lived like 2 hours from there. So I'd go there and I would do this and that. And I would learn about spirituality. I would exercise. I was like dieting and taking care of my body and blah, 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 blah. And it's just, I just continued to feel like crap no matter what I
Yeah.
did. I don't know what it was that wasn't clicking for me, but it was clearly the application of the
Yes.
wisdom and the profound realization. This particular wisdom is not present in application form in my life. And that is the core reason why I continue to suffer. This has nothing to do with me meditating, praying, doing vision boarding, like
Mm-hmm.
listening to affirmation tapes, blah, 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 blah. It has nothing to do with that. It's like the core ingredients in my recipe were all the bad ones.
Yeah.
And then when I realized, for me, I mean, doing the research, I'm just a curious little bugger. Doing the research actually for me is what set me free, because I realized that, you mean it's just 6 habits? That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they sound wicked simple, right? And then I was like, oh, I have to apply them. Right. Oh, that's where it gets hard, because I have to deal with myself.
Yep.
Okay.
You have to do stuff now.
But it's like, honestly, if you had met me a couple of years ago, I don't think you would have liked me a heck of a lot. I didn't like me a heck of a lot.
I didn't like myself a few years ago.
Fair enough. We could have fought it out. But it's nice to finally be in a place where I deeply, truly love me. And I bet you're feeling the same place.
Totally. Yeah.
Yay. I'm so happy. No, I love that. I mean, this is the thing that, like, I wish my younger self had, known, like, I've gotten the question several times, what would you say to your 19-year-old self? I probably would have sat that smart ass bitch down and be like, listen, you think success is this. It's actually that. If you want to be richer, do that. If you want to be happier, do that. You want to have a happier marriage, do that. You want to have more sex, do that. And it's all the internal stuff. And yeah, oh my God, because, oh yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, why do people even want to start conversations with like you or me? It's like, oh, well, I want to be happier. I want less stress. I want more money. It's usually like, I want more of something or less of something.
Right.
Meanwhile, your recipe, my recipe is kind of the same. You must work on you. And that is how, like, you must become more in order to have more.
Exactly. The answer is always you. Right? Like, it's how you relate to you, how you feel about you. It all comes down to you. It doesn't matter, at the end of the day, like what I deal with a lot is other people that sabotage the you, whoever it is that I'm speaking to, right? Because they've dealt with narcissistic abuse, etc. But what a lot of people don't realize is healing from that as well requires you to work on you. And never mind those people, right? Because it's all about setting boundaries with them, going no contact with them, whatever, depending on whatever the situation is. And ultimately, like, you can do all the things that you need to do to deal with a narcissist. You can set the boundaries, you can gray rock them, you can go no contact, whatever it is. But until you actually do the work on you and come back to yourself and figure out how to love yourself, you're still susceptible to that kind of abuse. And it's the exact same thing with, your case, when you retire at a very young age and you think that all these things that you're chasing are going to make you happy. And, then all of a sudden you realize you're not happy after you have that end result. it
Yep.
all comes down to you and working on that relationship with you. So you are the
Yeah.
answer to your issue.
Oh my God, it's so true. Like, a friend of mine is always saying, everywhere I go, there I am.
Yep.
How we do
It's
one thing
true.
is how we do everything. Sure. How many more bumper stickers you got in your head? But like, you know, honestly, like even a tangible example, if you're not like anyone listening is really not into like the whole like, journey of self, blah, 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 and needs a more like maybe pragmatic example. I remember going through sales training. And I remember always looking for what's the magic sentence? What's the magic angle? What's the right strategy? Right.
Hmm.
But it turns out it's none of these things. If you
Hmm.
want to sell, you're going to understand the rules of engagement, right? But you're going to be able to navigate them regardless of what words you use because you understand like the spirit of
Right.
how to sell, right? And
Right.
that was the thing. And in my core, I am an unbelievable salesperson because I don't sell. And sales training, oddly enough, is to teach you how to sell more stuff. But if you truly get it, like you get to like Master Shifu levels of like sales training, you understand the way to sell is not to sell, but to serve,
Hmm.
and the only way that you can get that is by going up all 17 levels of working on yourself and really developing this incredible mastery and knowledge and whatever. And at some point you put all that away because it doesn't matter. It becomes a result of the transformation of yourself. And that's why people will buy from you. It's the same thing why people will respect boundaries or adopt habits or anything. It's
Hmm.
all self.
It's so true. It's so true. It
Well, we're
really
speaking the same
is.
language. This makes me
Yeah.
happy.
Yay. I love it. It's so true. It is all self. So do you have I'm gonna put the link to your book in the description of this podcast episode and everything, but do you have any final words of advice to anybody listening to this who might be struggling with, either toxic people in their lives or, trying to make more money or just trying to be happier?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for anyone that's lazy and doesn't feel like looking at the show notes, it's the6habits.com. The word six is spelled out the THESIX habits.com. You can also find my book on Amazon. I'm there. My TED talk is there, the whole 9 yards. It's amazing. Let's connect and do all the things. But in terms of the advice would be this: give yourself some stillness, right? Give yourself some
Hmm.
stillness and think about, what do you really want? What do take away the obligations and the fact that you got to do the laundry, you make the kids dinner, and you gotta
Hmm.
take all that away, lock yourself in the bathroom with some chocolate and wine if you have to, and just think for a minute. If I could design my life in any conceivable way,
Hmm.
what would I design? Forget what you already have, right? And then start to get really clear on that. Chances are it's probably including a lot of the parts that you already have, but would they be better? Would you be getting along with your spouse or your loved ones better? Would you have a better relationship with your kids or, your parents or whatever? Would you be getting hurt less, or would you be in a different country? Would you be speaking a different language? Like, what is the most ideal expression of your life?
Hmm.
Think about that and then closely evaluate how far you are from it. Does it bother you? Does it
Hmm.
bother you that you're like so far off from where you are, right? If it does, then you might actually be in a place where you're willing to do something about it, you
Hmm.
know? And really it begins with awareness. Like, I talked briefly about all the 6 habits. We talked about goodness here more. I mean, there is a whole book on the subject, so there's that. But like the thing about all of this stuff is it's nothing more than an invitation. All the tools I've
Right.
built, the book I've written, all that other stuff, I can't do the work for you. I can't like unscramble the egg for you. I can't
Hmm.
do that. You have to want it. And the to decide if you want it or not is to actually just take inventory of your life.
Right.
Start there.
It's so true. It's so true. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, sharing, the 6 habits with us. And, I would recommend to anybody listening to this who wants to get somewhere on their healing journey, get the book. It's linked below. And this has been such an amazing conversation. Thanks so much again, Laura, for being here and sharing all that with us.
Truly a pleasure. This has been so fun.